Yes.
Hi, it's Marion Terenzio. How are you? Come over here.
I don't think we can
Can you see
the
us?
cameras on
I can't see you.
Okay.
Not even a little.
You did such an outstanding job at that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, at that micro-credential meeting. So I am the cause of you sitting in front of us now, because this is a very interested group in understanding micro-credentials, and I said, there's one guy who could do a good job and show us.
There's a lot of pressure.
I know. It's a friendly group, right, guys?
We're
Yeah,
friendly.
very friendly.
Yeah.
So it means a lot to us that you're doing this for us, and I thank you personally, let alone the rest of the group. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. And I should warn you guys, I don't know if you saw that video in the last couple of days of the BBC dad whose kids come running in halfway through.
Awesome! A
Yeah.
retake, a real like SUNY retake.
I'm actually in my son's bedroom right now. So I apologize in advance. I am going to go ahead and see if I can share this. I'm not going to go through every slide, but it's got good talking points. So let's see if I can get this to work.
And we can ask questions. Right?
Yeah, we're just not able to share our screen with you, so, or our view. So I'm sorry, we're just going to be that black dot in the corner.
That's all right. That'll do just fine. And please interrupt me as we're going along if you guys have any questions. And I should say up front that if you're not familiar with our organization, with Open SUNY or what we do, we are professional development, right? So we do a lot of professional development for faculty and staff focused on online learning or technology-enhanced learning, whatever you want to call it. So inherently, the stuff that we do with badges is lower stakes than I think some of the stuff that you are talking about, right? We don't, obviously we don't give out degrees, we don't give out things like that, but, we have spent a lot of time sort of thinking about this and, trying to set up an ecosystem around the badging that we do. So there are inherent differences, but maybe, if I can't answer your questions, I can point you to the people who can. So I got a couple early questions from you guys, and one of the questions was just about the basic differences between badges and micro-credentials and certificates. The badge is really just the visual sort of token that represents the achievement, right? And the achievement could be a specific skill that a person learns, it could be an event that they attended, it could be a demonstration of a certain competency that they have. In our sort of world, like the certificate that we hand out versus the badge that we display is pretty much synonymous, right? We use them interchangeably. Some people prefer certificates, and we can give those out. Some people prefer badges. The advantage to badges for us, there were a couple reasons why we decided to go with badges. One was that, first, it's easier to display, right? It allows people can very easily, very quickly sort of attach it to their LinkedIn profiles, to their digital CV, to stuff like that. It has all sorts of metadata attached to it, so if you click on a badge, and I'll show you examples of this, right? If you click on a badge, it will provide evidence of what was achieved. Right? So when we issue a badge, there's actually a bunch of different fields that we have to fill out about what did the person do, what's an example of the evidence. It could be a recording of a presentation they gave. It could be a link to an e-portfolio that demonstrates that. It could be a testimonial. But all the badges on the back end have evidence explaining when this badge was earned and what the person did to earn it. It also was much easier for us with record keeping regarding badges because we could sort of keep track of who had earned which badge, and that allowed it to stack into bigger what we call badge constellations. And I'll show you that. But the badge itself is just, it's ephemeral. It's just an online representation. A lot of the badges that we work with are called open badges, and the advantage of those is that there is actually a sort of set of standards, right? There are standards within the badging world, and if you follow these standards using these open badges, it makes it much more interoperable, and a person can then take their badges and display them in a number of different formats. Mozilla, if you know Mozilla, the company that produces the Firefox browser, they have a big badging platform, right, called Open Badging, where they, or their digital backpack, where they will display badges. We use a platform called Credly. There's actually a SUNY-wide contract with Credly right now. A number of campuses, I know, University of Albany, some people there use Credly. I know at Stony Brook they use a different program. There's one called Badger, BADGR, of course. But there's a number of different ones. If we all follow the same sort of protocol, then it's much easier for them to sort of be interoperable. So we try to stick to the Open Badge sort of protocol. Now, what do these badges look like? Those badges on the bottom row are actually badges that we have given out at Open SUNY. We do some badging for credentialing, right? But that's a little bit different than we, some people do badges different ways. There's some people who badge specific skills, right? So, for instance, we might give you a badge if you demonstrate that you are skilled at leading online discussions, or developing alternative assessments, or writing learning objectives, right? We might give badges for those specific skills, and if you complete a professional development workshop with us that had those specific outcomes, you might earn 3 badges within it, right? And then those badges all sort of, let's say they would stack together, and if you've earned, 5 of those badges, maybe you've earned what we call a second level badge. There's other badges we give out, like the one on the left, that looks like a wax seal sort of in gold. That we give out simply acknowledging that or commemorating that you attended an event. Everyone who attended what we call the summit, which is a small event that we have, earned that badge, right? It's not an accomplishment per se as much as you attended this event, so you have that. Now, one of these sort of things that we try to promote within our organization is participation. So giving out these badges is a way to sort of do that. We do some credentialing, we do some licensing. For instance, you'll notice the ID certificate program, that would be a good example. That's the second one from the left and the bottom. That would be a good example of something where we sort of license or certify. We offer workshops for instructional designers. I believe we've had instructional designers from 50 different SUNY campuses participate in it. Right? It has some level of recognition within the SUNY system. It's not a degree, it's not a certificate program, right? But it is a professional development certificate, sort of like Cisco certified or Microsoft certified or something like that. Commemorating, recognizing you have met certain standards and mastered certain skills. Right? So I'll get into some of this, and I put examples up here of different things that you might want to do. And that third column, those are for, we give out awards for online effective practices. People nominate themselves, and there's actually a voting process, and you can earn a badge for that. We do try to be somewhat consistent thematically with our badges. And honestly, it gets harder the more badges we give out. But for instance, you'll notice there's like it might not come through well. You'll notice there's a gold ribbon around the ID certificate program badge, sort of gold ribbon in the background. That means the person completed the program with distinction. Right? And so we do try to have thematic elements that like, if there's certain flair elements that mean this, or bigger badges, we try to have as meaning more than smaller badges. Right? So the idea here is, like I was saying, it's more than just an icon, right? And, the joke is always, it's like the Boy Scouts, and it is like the Boy Scouts, but there's all this metadata on the back, right? So when a user hits somebody's profile, and again, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Facebook, it could be a platform like, Mozilla's Backpack or the Credly system we use. When you click on it, it gets you all of this sort of information that we've added as the issuer about the badge, right? Who was the issuer? What's the testimonial? What was the description? And all that. This takes a little bit of time, right? But the more sort of back-end details you add, the more that badge is worth something. So one of the issues with badging that's, I always get asked about is like, how do you cut, the signal and noise issue, right? Because you will see some people who badge everything, Dan made it to work today, here's your badge. So how do you cut through that, say, all right, Dan finished this 3-month-long certification program and that. Honestly, the way to do it is through this back-end information. And there is a little bit of work that the employer or whatever has to go through. Not all badges are created equal, and employers will hopefully look at badge, look at who the certifier, look at who the issuer was, look at the details and so forth. It's not totally different in the academic realm, in that, Oxford University gives out bachelor's degrees, the same way that, I'll pick on, University of Maryland where I grew up, gives out bachelor's degrees, but for certain employers, one degree might carry a different cachet than another degree. Same sort of thing here. This isn't a real link, but if you clicked on where it said Open Center for Online Teaching Excellence up here, it would give information about who we are and sort of provide some sort of authority to this badge, right? How do I see campuses use this? Stony Brook does a good job of this, right? One of the questions I got was, is this done more by continuing education or by for matriculated students on the academic side? It's more for continuing education right now, right? We do see that a lot more, but the issuer could be anyone within the school. It could be the School of Nursing gives out badges. It could be the School of Engineering gives out badges. It could be Cobleskill as a whole gives out badges, right? It could be continuing ed. So there's a number of different ways that this is set up. For instance, at the University of Albany, there's a meta literacy. There's a meta literacy program. It's actually really neat, where meta literacy is talking about like information literacy and library skills, and they badge that specific skill, right? Does this person understand information literacy, which obviously in today's world is an important skill. They issue that badge from that specific program. It's not credit bearing, right? But it demonstrates that skill, which is useful for people who are employees.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Bravo's chair of academic policies. I just had are you talking more or less right now about non-credit bearing badges, or can you talk about anything about credit bearing badges as well?
So there's two different things. What we do is all non-credit bearing badges, right? In my organization, that's what we do. I work for system admin. We don't have credits to give that. I do see some campuses set up micro-credentials, and the reason they would do something like that is more for it's sort of a credential that students can earn on the pathway to earning an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, right? Let's say you had a some sort of program that the student only needed 12 credits to earn, right? You might issue them a badge for that sort of thing. It's not a bachelor's degree, right? It's not even a certificate program. It is something that students can earn on the pathway to getting this, right? Part of the goal for this is, we have students who, let's say they go to Cobleskill for 3 years and then they stop out, and they don't have anything to show for themselves. I mean, they have the credits, they transfer, but they haven't earned any sort of certification. Some campuses have looked at creating sort of badging programs or micro-credentialing programs along the way so that students, even if they stop short of earning that bachelor's degree or that master's degree, have earned something that represents the work that they put in.
I looked at Stony Brook's catalog of badges applied to the various badges, and they were all with 3 credits for this badge, 6 credits, 2 courses, whatever. There was a lot of stuff about credits and some things about workshops, but most of it was credit bearing.
Yeah, and those are sort of that's what we would call micro credential, right?
So that's sort of
6 credits to earn this credential. that might be enough for some students, right? It's a little bit, that's higher stakes, obviously, than what we do, right? Like, this stuff that I'm talking about here is, it falls under the realm of continuing ed, right? But there are campuses like Stony Brook, and, Stony Brook's done a really good job of establishing these micro-credentials for students to earn if either they're not interested in a full degree, or they don't make it all the way to a full degree. It's something that they picked up along the way.
Dan, I have this is Barbara, presiding officer. I have an offshoot of Peter's question. Here at Cobleskill, we have an applied learning mandate to graduate. And like LEED certification or even Boy Scouts, could you envision an applied learning badge with different levels of credential depending on the intensity and performance of a student across courses? So across credit-bearing courses, but then created as a way to affirm to an employer that this person has met our measure of applied learning.
Absolutely. The other place where I see that is with CBEs, right, or prior learning assessments. Where the student, comes in with certain skills. The trick is, the devil's always in the details, right? You've got to come up with a way to measure that the student has learned each of those skills, right? Whether it's some sort of assessment or some sort of demonstration, but absolutely, and we see that sort of thing where it is a collection of skills that you badge, and then you sort of present to the employer, oh, I can work with diverse people, and I can, do this and this and this. Absolutely, and especially if it's a more, if it's like you're saying, where it's cross-discipline, where it's a little bit harder to accumulate it into a formal degree, that's where that sort of thing makes sense. If that makes sense. Now, this is confusing. All right, I'm not going to spend much time on this, but this is just an example of some of the metadata that we have on the back end. There's actually, tons and tons of fields. I say that there's probably 50, 60 fields, all containing information that you can then display to the user in this case probably being an employer, when he or she clicks on that badge, right? So it would tell you, when that badge has been issued and what the person walked away with, and what skills. In OpenSUNY, how much have we used? We've been doing this for about, I want to say 2 or 3 years, right? And you can see the stats up there. One of the interesting things for us is this fourth bullet, at 27% of the claim badges are shared to LinkedIn, which tells us that people, at least 27% of the people, value this badge on some level, enough that they want to add it to their sort of digital resume, right? That's a metric that we follow closely. We feel like as that number goes up, that will signify that these badges have greater acceptance, and that badge that we've issued to someone is viewed as a greater sort of accomplishment. We do see people who share onto Facebook and Twitter. That's a little bit less interesting to us, honestly, because that's a little bit more like ephemeral, right? You post it to Twitter, which is great, but then it's gone, a little bit later. The one that we follow more closely is the LinkedIn. Truthfully, not everybody is sold on the badges, right? We issue badges sometimes that, no one picks up, right? No one claims. They just, so, there is a process, there's an education piece. We do have people who want certificates as well. They value that, they want to put that within, they want a hard copy of it, so we can do that for people too, but, we are continuing to push this, and, as more and more campuses do it, we're hoping to see more acceptance. Now, related a little bit to what we were just talking about is this idea of a constellation of badges, where you have badges that sort of build on top of each other, and you combine these, what we would call a level 1 badge, to a greater accomplishment, which is a level 2 badge, or an Uber badge, whatever you call it. I don't like the term Uber badge, but some of us do. These are some examples of some of the badges that we've built out. This one in the upper left, I call it the monkey badge. It's actually like a gaucho. He's like, and he's gonna go whipping his hand, he's like an Indiana Jones character. But, I think it looks like a monkey. The way this works, the things that we look for in each of our badge constellations is membership, professional development, and community engagement. Right? So to earn any of these badges, you have to demonstrate those three things: membership, professional development, and community engagement. And the Trailblazer one is easy to look at because it's the simplest. Trailblazer just being someone who is beginning their journey in online learning, right? Troy, you have to earn this badge, which you see, which just means you joined our organization in the interested role. In professional development, there's a number of different badges you could earn. N2OL, is our new to online learning course. Those 4 smaller badges on the right-hand side actually stack on top of each other to earn the 2 badges you see on the left. Okay? The 2 badges, though, with the full flower, those are commemorating the same thing. It means you've mastered the new to online learning course. The one with the gold highlights means you did it with distinction. Right? Those smaller badges on the right-hand side, like I said, these are different badges you earn throughout the process. And you can see, we tried to do it thematically. They're smaller than the big badge, which in turn is smaller than the Trailblazer badge. And it's supposed to be the sort of germination and growth. So we tried to, this took a lot of sort of top-down planning. If you just sort of piecemeal your way here, it would be hard to have thematic elements that sort of ran through the badges. It would be hard to have sort of whole program just originates out of nothing. So we've had to sort of take a top-down approach. Same thing here for community engagement. We give badges for 10 different things. Those small badges where you see 6 on the right and 3 of them in the middle, those you might give if you attend, like a half-hour-long, like lunch and learn webinar that we did. Right? It's not a great accomplishment, right? You sat there for half an hour in attendance. A number of those ones where it says community participant, that means you more engaged. So you presented yourself. You were a presenter in one of these, or you had a role in this. And these sort of stack up into that yellow community engagement badge. Right? So you earn the smaller ones, which can stack into a medium-sized one, which could, in theory, stack into the big one. So at the end, to earn this Trailblazer badge, you will have had to earn those 3 badges at the top. Right? Which in turn are made up of those badges in the middle and at the bottom. Right? So the tricky part of this is laying this all out, explaining to people. It's not that different than a transcript, right? It's not that different than, the way that you lay out the degree requirements for, I've earned a bachelor's degree in this. Well, you need these 3 required elements, and you can take 2 of these electives and whatnot, right? It's not that different than this idea. We used it for professional development. The idea is that we want people to have well-rounded professional development, that we want people to sort of understand it's a motivator. It's a motivator for some people. If they're one community participant badge away from earning this, then you're hoping that motivates them to go out and participate in another one of our events. Right? Tracking this can be tricky, right? There's a lot of effort that goes into tracking this. We're also working on developing a sort of platform for faculty members to monitor their own progress, right? We think there's value in keeping track of the faculty members' professional development history, right? To be able to say, oh, you took, Sally took these 4 workshops in 2016 and attended these 3 events and so forth. We think there's value in keeping track of all that, future employers might want to see that. That's valuable news for faculty. It also gives us really good data about which events are more popular and themes.
Can you hear us?
Oh.
There you are.
Oh, we're
Did
back.
I lose you?
No, we're back.
I got a message saying my internet connection was unstable.
Dan, this is Marion, because just to go back, obviously this leads to data analytics,
Right.
okay, right? And also to custom in terms of student learning and all that good stuff, right? We can-
Absolutely. You know, and it allows us to tell sort of where the bottlenecks are. You know, like, it's very possible that people fulfill the community participant element of this quickly, but people aren't that engaged by N to 11. Right? Well, you know, that's good information for us to know. Why aren't they engaged? Maybe people at this level, Trailblazer, just want to work, right? And don't want to, they want to just sit back and watch what's going on, as opposed to, you know, actively engage. We've had to develop almost like an SIS for this, right? For tracking people's history in this and how it leads towards these higher level badges. But you can probably see the connection for how this would work with some of your academic, you know, credit bearing programs as well. So I'm not going to go into all this, right? I'm not going to go into all this, but you know, needless to say, we've built out a lot of this for these different levels, right? If you want to be a mentor, then you need to have taken workshops on Oscar, and you need to have, you know, there's electives. For instance, right, on the right-hand side, you could take workshops on accessibility, or you could take workshops on blended learning, or you could take workshops on community inquiry, right? Same idea as what you guys do in an academic program, right? The goal being that it motivates people. There will be people out there who, you know, very much want to earn the top badge, right? And it's a way to sort of recognize the hard work some people do. We're fortunate we have we have a graphic artist on staff who helps us out with a lot of this. I don't do any of this, but he helps us out with this, and you know, he tries to keep track of some of the thematic elements. We use a lot of blue, a lot of yellow.
So Dan, if we wanted to find designers to help the faculty and build, you know, a development base that way, you could help us with that to find folks?
Absolutely could. You know, and honestly, you guys are right at the road. You know, and on a pilot basis, I'm sure we have to help out. You know, this is something that we're interested in seeing grow, because the more credibility that these badges have, I think the more badges we issue are worth, right? It becomes more important for faculty. So we're very interested in seeing badges become more accepted in the community, in the system. The hardest part is designing this sort of thing, right? Saying, all right, what leads to what? You know, what are the main characteristics we want them to demonstrate, or what are the sub-characteristics they want? In your case, it could be 5 different specific, you know, workforce-specific skills, right? That you're badging that then stack into the Uber badge or the level 2 badge, whatever you want to call it, right? And, you know, and maybe you just badge when the person demonstrates that skill, or maybe you give out badges on their pathway to earning that skill, right? Because if they demonstrate they've earned that skill by completing 3 courses, you're probably going to badge each of those 3 courses. We've got whole spreadsheets we spent a lot of time, and truthfully, we had a consultant from Creditly who helped us with this, right? Who met with us regularly, and you know, said, all right, here's what you have to think about. You know, we have big spreadsheets of what are the skills that we want to sort of stack into additional skills, and we haven't built all of this out, right? We don't have every option available to people, right? But you know,
Yeah,
we're gonna.
right.
So Dan, it's Barbara again. A question just about, okay, so say we create badges or Uber badges, and then we award them in some way to a student and I assume put it in Credly or whatever SUNY has at the time. How do you transport that? How do you make that portable so that the student, when they leave SUNY, can really make sure that their online presence also has their badges in it? Like,
That's a really good question.
you know,
So-
we get certificates and we stick it in a folder somewhere.
Yeah, right. So Credly and, Mozilla's Open Backpack and all these, they are in, what they do is publish out these badges. So they will have an embed code that the student takes and copies and pastes into a website, right? To post that badge on there. So say I set up a dan500.com, right? I would post that badge, it would link back to Credly, where they would do that. They also have an API, so they publish from Credly, you can publish directly to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to Twitter, to WordPress, to a number of the more common sort of website sort of things. Because obviously not everyone, knows how to deal with HTML code. So, if you have a personal website you set up in WordPress, you can publish directly to it from Credly, right? That's one of the things you're paying for, right? Mozilla's Open Backpack works the same way. There's great. People create what they call these backpacks, right? Where they house their vests. I wouldn't necessarily encourage an employer to go directly to my backpack because it could be overwhelming there, and there could be badges that I'm more proud of than others. And, I want to highlight those, right? I may not, if I show someone 50 badges and a bunch of them are these small ones at the bottom, well, that's not all that impressive. What's impressive might be that I was a presenter at this event, or that I won this award. So I may pick and choose which badges specifically I want to highlight on my website, on LinkedIn, and so forth.
Dan, Christine Johansson, I'm the registrar here at Cobleskill. Do you know if Credly works with existing SISs, like our campus has Banner, other campuses have Colleagues, PeopleSoft. Are you familiar if they integrate?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you that we're like co-owners of Credly at this point, right? We're like the highest level of member. And they've been really good to work with, and they've been really eager to sort of help us, meet our needs.
Right.
So, and like I said, it is a SUNY-wide contract, and, we'd be happy to, set it up so that we can talk with Credly and find out that sort of information.
Yeah, the SUNY Registrars Association had them at our last conference this past fall.
Great.
We had them there.
This is
And-
Wendy Gilman,
And
Dan.
like I said, Credly's not they're the vendor we're working with, right? They're not the only game in town, so, I'm sure we can find one that met your needs.
Dan, Wendy has a question.
Hi,
Sure.
Dan, this is Wendy, I'm the VP for Finance. I'm kind of following up on Christine's question. These software companies come and go, so what's the
Yes.
longevity? I mean, I liked Christine's question about tying into Banner, because we know Banner's not going anywhere.
So the longevity of it is using that banner, is using that badging open standard, right?
Okay.
That if we issue badges that comply with the open standard that's been set up, then it should work with any badging, company.
The benefit to having it tied to your student information system is that you can manage enrollment, whether it's credit bearing or non-credit bearing.
Right.
And you can associate the badge with, if a student is seeking, say, a bachelor's degree, but we have micro-credentials for leadership or other things, that those badges can also then be tied both to their academic record, and they can put out on their LinkedIn profile, or they can put on their electronic CV that they make through the Student Success Center.
Well, that's the purple
Exactly.
briefcase, right?
Yes, correct.
And there is, and I know that your president has been involved with the micro-credentialing task force out of the provost office. I know that they issued a sort of update, I believe in the fall. I'm not 100% sure where that stands, but I know it's something they're looking at. There also is a Fact 2 group on micro-credentialing that is investigating a lot of this. So there's a lot of movement in this area. I don't think, like Stony Brook's been doing stuff with it, and Albany's been doing stuff, and, a number of different schools. So there's definitely some momentum behind it.
Dan, I have a hypothetical that you may or may not be able to
Uh-oh,
help me with.
okay.
This is Barb again. So we have an existing honors program. Students have to achieve a certain GPA, they have to take a certain number of courses with other honor students, and then they have levels of capstones that they need to achieve. So when we issue a degree, we can say it's with honors, or they're an honor student, right, Christina?
Right.
I know what the
Yep.
language is.
Yep.
But is there a value in having a badge for that as opposed to being able to say, I'm a graduate of the honors program? I mean, I'm trying to think old school versus new school, and if I'm 21, what's more valuable to me?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and that's sort of like I said, some of this is interchangeable with the old school sort of certificates, right? Like physical certificates that you hang on the wall, right? And I don't know if some of this is just the 21st century version of that, and it being more portable and easier to display and easier to post to something like your CV. I think the fact that it has the data behind it and people can view the evidence helps, right? Helps establish that credibility. But it's an interesting question.
Well, this is Marion, but wouldn't it also be, Barb, and the faculty in charge of this, watching to see how the experiences are working for the students, and you have all that data to customize the honors learning? That's,
Right,
that's
like if
the
we have a
piece.
bottleneck, we have the
Right.
analytics to see that there's a bottleneck.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
we're losing them after this point.
It could be a
Absolutely.
it could be a factor.
And we have all this data on the back end. Like I said, it's really interesting to us about which badges get shared more and where they get shared. Like, we can definitely see trends about which badges people view as greater. We're assuming that there's a correlation between people viewing something as a greater accomplishment and people being more willing to share it, right? So, we use that as a way that, people really, like the fact that they've earned this. People are proud of the fact that they've earned this, so that's good information for us.
I think too, having badges associated with your student information system, you can also then do target marketing. So if you know
Yeah.
that you've got people who've earned a certain set of badges and you created something new that correlates with it somehow, you can dive back in and pull your contacts and market a new credential to those who've already received them at your institution.
That's great.
So-
That's a great point. And we've been able to do a little of that. For instance, we offered an introduction to OER course, Open Education Resources, and we are able to identify, we're able to pull up everyone who has earned the OER badge and, advertise to them that, hey, we've got a follow-up course that we're launching in the fall, and target it towards that. Or we're able to target it towards people like, we could, say, we've noticed that you're close to earning this Uber badge, right? Well, we have an opportunity coming up that will fulfill the last year requirements, right? We haven't done that yet, but I can see a scenario where we did.
This is Peter Barwell. Again, I have another question about how business and industry, let's say, view badges as opposed to something they might more recognize like a credential or a certificate.
Yeah, that depends. Like the example I used earlier about the ID certificate program. Like in our little corner, the businesses, which in this case are the campuses, recognize that and view that as something that's worthwhile. And we think that because we've seen 50 campuses send people out to get it. There are some industries, especially in the tech industries, with Microsoft certified and Cisco certified, where having that certification is more important or equally important to having the specific degree. There'll be a lag, before some industries catch up, I'm sure. But I can certainly see, I don't know, I'm an expert in this, but like, I don't 100% know the answer to your question, but in our little corner of the world, we do see that there is some recognition that that badge is worthwhile.
So having something on your CV or something that's, a badge for this, they're gonna see that and say, okay, this person knows this, so there's something to add or to make you look better in their eyes.
Exactly. And it'll take time, right? It'll take time for employers to recognize that, and it'll take, people who have earned that badge doing a good job for them. For them to be convinced that that is something they want in the next candidate who they have.
Well, the one other thing we talked about, Dan, we did our SUNY Performance Improvement Plan meeting. We had said that we were the first campus to do applied learning as a requirement. And of course, Alex pushed back and said, well, all campuses are taking that and saying they're the best. And I said, well, yeah, because you're forcing all of them to. And then he said, and we said, why don't we think about how we do levels of applied learning? So I can see where maybe using a badging system may get us where we think why we are better than others because we didn't add it for so long. And Alex said, well, why don't you take that on? So here I'm thinking, do we put it as part of our PIF with your assistance in our payment plan funding and see if we can do the Cobleskill standard of applied learning through badging? I don't know, it might work or might not. Yeah, but maybe we own that, and if that's the case, can we talk to you offline to see if we can say you're a partner in helping us figure that out?
And I work for, Carrie Hatch and Tim Scalzo,
Right.
And they have a ton of incentive to see something like this work, right? Carrie's very involved in micro-credentialing. I was talking to him today about this in preparation, about, he very much wants to see this sort of work, especially if, we're hoping we have a big influx of students, if some of the governor's plan goes through, that, there'll be students, need all sorts of things, including micro-credentials. So, that as something that might be additionally viable. So, I think I'd love to continue the conversation. We'll talk with Kim and Alex and Carrie, and I think they have a lot of, they want to see this work also.
Hey Dan, this is Iggy Gillette Ferguson. I'm a curriculum committee chair, but I'm also a science professor here. And I'm finding this fascinating. So can you make a single badge like a gold, silver, bronze?
Yeah. And we do stuff like that all the time. We'll try to, like I said, we'll try to do it thematically where we have bigger badges and smaller badges, or badges that are plain or badges with more flair.
Well, what I'm thinking is,
Go ahead.
what I'm thinking is that each lab has a certain set of skills, and I might have a student that got a C overall, but could have excelled in some of those skills, and this would be a way for them to show their excellence in those skills.
Absolutely, and it's a little more nuanced. And like I said, it is, these micro-credentials are often something that can be earned on the pathway to a full degree, right? So maybe they don't get 120 credits, but they are able to demonstrate a certain number of skills along the way.
Wow. I wish you could see the faces around the room.
Good.
Everybody's just intrigued. Barb, is there anything else that you wanted from Dan today?
I think the last question I have is, ultimately, the mothership of SUNY system, will want to be able to quantify micro-credentials and badges.
Yeah.
And I assume that there's some weight that's put on higher level Uber badges than there are the medium size, than there are the little size. And I don't really know how system will look at a badge as a badge,
Question.
or are they different levels, and what would make
Because they're not all
badge
equal.
carry?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And like I know, so we're always trying to show impact, right? Like that's that's how we get assessed, right? By how much impact we're able to have on campuses. And I know one of the ways that Kim and Scalzo and Carrie measure impact is the number of badges that we distribute. Well, that in itself is not a great measure, because that's completely under our control, right? And we give out 100 badges that didn't mean anything, right? So you're right. How do you recognize the fact that not all badges are created equal? That some represent more accomplishments. That if 10 people finished a really significant badge, that's more meaningful than 100 people who just sat there for half an hour on the badge, right? So you're right. There's more nuance in this than some people realize.
And that we haven't really established that way to look at them yet, yeah.
Well, maybe SUNY Cobleskill will.
And I think Carrie's a good ally. I don't know if you know Carrie Hatch.
Yeah.
He's our boss. He's my boss. His boss is boss. He's a good ally. He wants to see this, and he understands the challenges. He understands the challenges, and he's a good person to work with on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Carrie, Dan, I'm just Carrie is retiring. We have an award ceremony that comes up in late April, and rather than issuing awards, maybe we should give it a try and see if we can call it a badge.
Or what we do sometimes is we will issue a paper certificate with the badge on it as a seal.
Yeah.
Right. And that might just be a transition thing that we're doing. There's a retraining, right? People are used to getting certificates. People like walking out of the room with it. Right now, a lot of times we give out both, but I think our goal is to eventually transition all the way to badges.
Yeah. Well, if we decide to do a performance improvement fund project, and I think we might, we're gonna give you a call.
All right, good.
Okay.
Good. I don't want to take you guys off, but it's middle school step-up day.
Yeah.
No, we're ready to talk. We're ready to talk without you in the room. So we appreciate it, Dan. Thank you so much.
I gotta go to the middle school. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.